Hello and welcome to the God's Business Podcast. My name is Jonathan. I'm your host, and I'm here joined today with Eva from Orlando Lash Brows. We are here in person in Orlando. We've been having a season of a lot of virtual podcasts, but now we're back to basics, as you say. And we are here live doing the podcast. So on this podcast, I bring on entrepreneurs to talk about how God works in their life and in their business. And so Eva and I had a chance to connect earlier before. I
God
learned,
bless Facebook, right?
yeah, I mean, hey, when you plant the seeds, sometimes the seed is good to a point where you get to make connections and meet other people. And then all of a sudden, opportunities come.
And I apologize one more time for ignoring you because, I got all these hits daily from like weird people, like scam stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, like a new episode of the fraud coming through Facebook. And so I was just like being ignoring. But one day, just like I realized, like, okay, you look local, you look legit, like, let's try to connect.
Yeah, I'm a real person. I'm a real person, So yeah, I mean, we met on Facebook, and you own a business, I own a business, and I also run this podcast. And so, yeah,
So
I'm not
how is my
upset.
business can help your business? What do you do for a living?
My business. So I do digital marketing. So
Yeah.
I help people and businesses sort of like understand how to either use social media for themselves, build websites, and just be found online.
I just recently started leaning towards that side too. It's exciting because based on my experience, 14 years, I feel like I can give people value by evaluating their businesses and build the strategy. And I'm extremely good with the creative part of that.
Oh, right. And that's something that we were talking about. But for the audience who might be listening, what does your business do? And what are you venturing into?
So I have two vectors, right? The first one is lash fairy, brow fairy by daytime. So all my beautiful ladies are like, today I have clients flying over from Texas for getting their beauty services done. And they have people like A-list. I'm very proud of that. All my girls are A-list for me, actually, And it's just like all the beauty, cosmetology, esthetician, there is no service I cannot provide unless it's injectable because I'm not a nurse and I'm not a doctor. But if it's beauty related, it's some advanced facials, it's advanced like permanent makeup thing. If it's cold plasma treatments, if it's something related to skin rejuvenation through peels, and that would be the best peels, which I'm certified with. So it's never ending list. You just asked.
Wow. So it's very beauty.
Yeah, beauty is my passion. And as I told you earlier, right, my story is I was bullied at school for a long time. And it's not a fault of the kids which were bullying me. I was from a very poor background, accidentally in a luxury, like private style school. So they were kind of confused with my looks. I was not wearing the coolest clothes. I was not looking neat because my mom was hustling and like trying to survive. It was terrible, hungry years in Russia. And the kids just like, they don't accept something out of the general. So if something is off with you, you will be definitely picked up and pointed out. And I was too nice, too sweet. I was not proactive. So I would just tolerate it. And that's how the bullying was growing. So by graduating from school, I was like, I'm so ugly. I knew my spot, but it was somewhere down below the ground. And it took me a lot of years to build my self-confidence. I'm still working on that. I don't consider myself beautiful, but I consider myself self-built and well-maintained. And that's what I try to do for the women. So if they lose their confidence, if they feel like they're not pretty enough, I can do my magic into 3 hours and I know what I'm doing. So I'm very confident how I can do it, like mind-blowing results and like before and afters. And I do that. If I could do it for free, I would do it. It's just like, unfortunately, I have to pay bills.
Yeah.
And I have 3 kids, but it's just, I would never get rid of that. It's like, it's my passion to see a woman and do a transformation for her, to make her feel beautiful and become self-loving. It's never ending story. So it's make my heart like a soup. So that's my missionary
Wow.
probably. And I do believe God did it on purpose for me, because if I would be not bullied and I would be like all that the most popular girl, I will definitely be a Russian peach and I would be very mean and I would never treating people right. So I'm actually grateful for that. So I'm to the point I understand why did it happen and what's the consequences and what was the God plan, why I would go through that. So I'm okay with having that in my past.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, I just learned so much.
All right.
Let me try to help summarize that and to correct me if I'm wrong. So You grew up in Russia.
Yes,
You're
correct.
born and
I
raised in
was
Russia.
born in Russia and I was born in 1986. So this year I will be 40. I'm the living proof. Whatever I do works, right? Because I look not 40, but maybe 30 something.
Well, you don't look 40, that's for sure.
Yeah,
You look
thank you.
very young.
Since I was 5, I had in my head that I will be living in America. Like every time my grandfather in the village would make me do some ugly country style work. And he was like, you need to do this. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. And he's like, how dare you? Nobody gonna marry you. You don't know how to do, like to take the milk from the cow. I was like, I'm not gonna live here. I will be living in America. He's like, what did you say? So it's like deep inside, probably my soul knew what's gonna happen. And I was at school where I learned exceptional level of English. I hope so. My Russian, articulation and I have my accent, but unfortunately, it will stay with me for the rest of the life. And I have to smile more often so people don't get offended. And
So, okay, that's interesting. So in Russia, do people not smile?
no, it's a first of all, they will consider you stupid or mentally deprived. So if you smile too much or for no reason, they'll be like, idiot, or something is wrong with you. You have a mental disease. We just don't know yet which one. So when you smile for no reason, it's a very bad thing in Russia. And if you were in the airport and you're trying to smile and talk to the customs or to the police officers, you can get in trouble because they if you're not serious and poker face, they will treat you wrong. So
Wow.
maybe one day it's gonna get better, but it's part of the culture. They just a rough life, very hard struggleships through the 20th century. They've gone through a lot. So Russian people are very stiff, not because they want to be so, it's just they were raised like that. They never been in different environment. So that's part of their DNA.
Wow, that's exciting. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you were raised in Russia. You got bullied as a kid.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a whole thing in itself. Not to go too deep into that. It's more of you were struggling. Was your mother and father together?
No, they got divorced. I was 5. And unfortunately in Russia, and here I want to compliment to all American dads, Russian dads, it's a philosophy that once you leave the family, you leave the kids and forget about them. You can pay coins as a child support and you're not involved. Maybe nowadays, because I live 15 years here, 14 years here, it's getting to the better situation. But as a rule of thumb, it's they disappear and they are maybe visiting you once in 3-5 years, or it's sending you over some gift for the birthday in good case scenario. So my dad, I didn't see him for 10 years. I didn't talk to him after that because I was so heartbroken. And a lot of things I understand on a deeper level, and I have to go through therapy and forgiveness and love, acceptance that it's still my parent. But it was painful and it influenced the life, of course, because if it would be better support, I would not be bullied at school because of the clothes. Or if it would be better communication with him, I would have better understanding of the relationship, because I was a disabled, one arm amputated, say, thing. Because once you step into the relationship as a child from a single family, it's unfortunately a huge interfere with the potential risks of the divorce, of not being able to build a healthy family, because you're just missing huge part of how it should be done in the proper way.
I see. Well, we have a lot in common. I was also, my family, my mother and father were separated, right, as a kid too. So
how old were you?
Since I was born, 1 year old. So I don't really know, what you're saying. I understand what you're saying is to see that example and to see that progress throughout my childhood would make it a lot more easier to.
And you didn't have a
that.
stepdad in the picture.
So yeah, that's maybe a little different. This is where maybe I differ for you from you. Is I had a stepfather.
I didn't. So
Yeah, yeah. I will say that it was a military family, so it was very and I was.
It's another conversation.
It's a level of of strictness. To simplify that, and I was a stepchild. I was not the child,
the
right?
biological. But it was blended family, and it was the kids
too. Yeah, so I'm Filipino.
I would never guess that. I see some Asian thing.
Oh yeah, I'm Asian. What do you think I am?
Puerto Rican.
Puerto Rican. Oh, maybe it's the haircut. I got a haircut.
It's a Puerto Rican barber. Just
it is.
That's the blame. It's to blame your barber today. It's thank you for that DNA to bring for a few weeks.
Yeah, I think he is Puerto Rican, but yeah.
I am. It's a good compliment. We need to put his contact information if you need to clean A-class barber.
Well, yeah. I mean, haircuts have always been an interesting thing my whole life, but regardless, yeah. So I was raised similar to you, but not really. Everyone's got their own walk. Everyone has their own like life issues, and dysfunction. There's other things like even families that are together. Like, sometimes they're dysfunctional, right?
And I truly believe that sometimes it's better to have not a full family, but less toxic and less
Mhm.
poisonous than a family where kids see all the abuse, all the wrong communication between two parents. So
Yeah.
it's extremely important to kind of be like to keep sanity. It's all about kids, right? In the end. So it's like if the kids are exposed to something ugly, they should not be. And I'm strongly against any possible way. So if it's a single mom and she's not given that part of the dad, it's fine. It's better than it's a drug addict dad and like very toxic mom who are building for the child that ecosystem as a normal standard, because the child will grow up and just replicate it because that's what he was grown. At this point, I believe like everybody is, I believe in souls, right? We choose our lessons. Like in this life, I want to be a child from the single mom family and going through this and that. And it's like all these events in my life should be in this order. And after that, we'll be like, oh my God, what is that for? And God will be like, you signed before your reincarnation in this life, so that's your choices.
Yeah, I mean, hey, let's, and you can help yourself to the water if you need, but
Yeah.
uh, it's interesting. Like when I've come to the faith, started to realize, and for my, just so that you're aware, like I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in Jesus
So you
until
were atheistic.
sort of. I was, to a point. My situation is like, as a kid, I went to Sunday school and I sort of knew who God was. But then because my family was moving around military, didn't really get connected to any church.
I
And
agree.
so, sort of fell away. My mother fell away and everyone sort of fell away. I went off in, high school, college, fall away even further. Um, Led me to a point of 2024, 2 years ago. January 2024, 2 years ago, I was saved by Jesus Christ. It wasn't like I didn't like, oh, I went to a church and they saved me. I didn't meet anybody. The truth is, I was like gone. I was like, I couldn't understand the world, couldn't understand like the wickedness of the world.
Oh, I'm in your team.
All, yeah,
I see all that happen. I was like, what the H word?
yeah, yeah. And so, and then I was pretty much like, at that point, I was like, suicidal to a point. Like I was like, done, 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 done. But thank the Lord that he literally helped save my life, because he literally did. My mother, my family couldn't save me. My son couldn't save me. I couldn't save myself. I was like demonically oppressed and like all these things were happening. And so I prayed to God and I prayed two things. I said, yeah, I pretty much prayed, forgive me because I'm too weak. I can't go on any longer. And then I gave my life to God unknowingly, not really unknowingly. I surrendered my life. I said, God, if it's your will that I end today, that my life is over today, then I give my life to you to do with it with what you will. And so in that moment, I was literally saved. It was instantaneous. It was a radical
But
saving.
that was like the deception point, right? So it's like
Yeah, it was like
either
fully
or.
breaking. It was like, here's my last bit of hope. Like the only hope that I had, the rock at the rock
So
bottom.
something happened, or it was just a moment when you just like, let's say it was.
It was a lot of things. Like it was compounding of like life, right? So like going through life without God, I've experienced it. And that's part of the reason why I have this podcast, is like, I just want to help to highlight in a mission in a way. It's like, this is my ministry. I want to help highlight the fact that when you go through life without God, which I have gone, or like actually hearing or seeking and sort of like falling fully away, where at one point I thought like, oh, there is no God, right? That's what I thought. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's Buddha, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Like I didn't know, right? But Jesus Christ is the true and one and true God. But I went through life without that. So the reason why the podcast is so super useful is to help understand, like, how do people live their life either with God throughout their whole life. But I've had people from, they've grown up in the church, grown up in the family, and I've had people on who are similar to me, like radically saved. And I've had like everywhere in between. And it's just like quite amazing. But to get to the point of that inception point of like breaking, to the very bottom, be it rock bottom, it was a lot of things, right? So like, I got a divorce, and all these things were happening and all these things were like coming against me and just like, I got scammed for $100,000.
Oh, I need to hear that story.
It's a really insane story.
They can help. We have to talk after the podcast. I
Yeah.
have tools for you. Like, I got scammed for 10,000 2
Wow.
years ago with the ex-employee, but I tell you,
Yeah.
like, I have some solutions. Trust
I'm
me.
sure. That's good.
I'm not Russian mafia.
Hey, Russian mom. That's so funny. But like, like divorce, scam for all the money that I have, taking the house that I bought with the ex-wife, like she was like, well, I gave it to her to live with my son, and then all of a sudden she trashed the place, and then all of a sudden, like, yeah, it's just like all these things, like, and then I just kept trying to live life, kept trying to move on, because my heart was good, but I just didn't follow Christ and follow
But you
God.
as a good man, you see, like you left the place, you like not left, maybe it's
Yeah.
like it's not you who were leaving, but I mean, like you provide your child with the housing, which is the most.
Yeah.
I lost
Right.
everything, and my ex-husband was not cooperative, and he was destroying every single ability to build for the kids' assets. And I believe, like if you have a child, you have a responsibility to help that child not to be hustling and struggling, like
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
even
sad.
if it's not deserving, right? Like, you do things, at least, and that's what I mean is like my heart was good. My values were good. I wanted to do well, even though like my whole life has never been like, right? And so to your point of like the souls and like the struggles and all these things, I believe that yes, God knows us in the womb. God knows us before we even know ourselves. And he knows what we're going to be going through.
Mhm.
And it's only for our good, because if all these things
In
never
the end,
happened,
yeah, I agree. It's like sometimes you feel like it's a terrible situation in your life and you don't see like it's a dead end, but you're like, okay, I don't see the big picture. I trust, the God, and it just like you wait for the final outcome. And now I see why it was all happening to me, but it can take a lot of time. Maybe not.
I mean, he can change things very quickly. He can change things like very slowly. It
Mhm.
really, at the end of the day, I think it's all on us in terms of, do we surrender, do we follow, or do we try to control everything ourselves?
I agree.
I've gone through, I mean, I'm telling you, like before my business, right? I've made hundreds of millions of dollars for the big fortune companies,
Mm-hmm.
the big like Lowe's home improvement store. I made the big blue
Yeah,
company
yeah,
where
I
you
know.
buy stuff. Okay. Olive Garden, Capital Grill, like
Mhm.
all these big companies, and even more and more and more. But I've made millions of dollars for these companies, and I used to like find identity in that. I
Mhm.
used to find identity in like, oh, I can make so much money. I can do it all. Like if money was like the thing, but when I found Christ, like, or when he saved me, like none of that mattered. Nothing mattered. And so like, no matter what, just following him is like the key
I
that
see.
I found. And so he led me to this he gave me this podcast. Let me tell you how I started the podcast. Sincere to enjoy the podcast. Um, I got the office from believers, like they're believers, and this is after I was, with Christ. But I got the office, and they gave me an office. I didn't need an office because I was just generously, like what you said, I will help you no matter what. I don't even need a charge. I'm just helping you. But they wanted to. They didn't. I was helping them with their marketing, and they said, take this office, so that you don't have to go meet in Starbucks and do these things. And so I got an office space. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do with it. It was like, because I do digital marketing. Like, it's not like I need a space to like work with my hands or work with people.
Yes, like
Yeah.
safe environment, like white
Yeah.
space.
And so, yeah, exactly. This is like secure thumbprint, all these things like locks. But I prayed to God and I asked like, what am I doing here? Like, what do you need me to do here? And that's when he gave me the idea to start a podcast called the God's Business Podcast. I even prayed about the name. So he told me the podcast, and it's about entrepreneurs and faith, to talk about how he works to glorify him, to work in the lives of business owners, and how that sort of entrepreneurship journey helps develop you closer to him. Then I prayed. I was like, okay, what is the name? Like, I'll do it. Let's go. What's the name? And then he said, the God's Business Podcast. So,
Nice.
and that is how
So the business
we're
is
here
such a
today.
word, like, it's not only like doing money or whatsoever. It's like the activity of the God, like, in my understanding, how I
Yeah.
interpret it.
Jesus came and he he didn't say he was coming to be the king. He didn't say he was coming to have people serve him.
Mhm.
He came to serve, right? And he was serving others.
Selfish, yeah.
Yeah, selfless, right?
Selfless, you see.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that word. No, you see, I have a Russian friend, so it's called Runglish. It's like when you understand what I was trying to say, but I
Ah,
said something wrong, so you cut on spot, and now you have to reteach me. So it would be no crazy situations.
yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Hey, the Russian accent is appreciated. I don't meet a lot of Russian girls or men in Orlando
We
in
have huge
Central.
community here.
Really?
It's like, I would say more than 200K. And we have Russian restaurants and we have Russian Asian people. They have
Wow.
phenomenal cuisine. So, and it's strong community. We're
Wow.
very, very humble here.
That's super cool. I love
And
that.
it's not only Russians. I mean, like, I consider the Russians like all these people from Ukraine and it's
You're
like
right, right.
Moldova, Kazakhstan.
Yeah,
But it's very interesting how back at home you think like, oh, these people are not like, unfortunately, when I was raised, they would say like, you are not enough, or it's like you are less than that person. It's a little bit of castes like in Britain, like,
sure.
and here it's like, you're equal and you will be treated and you will be evaluated by the achievements as a personality. It doesn't matter who you are, what's your nationality. If you can show some knowledge, if you can show some passion, ethics, like, whatever you can do, it's definitely 1000 you will be treated accordingly. But if it's like in Russia, it doesn't matter if you're talented, if you are smart, if you are like, ambitious, if you don't have prerequisite areas, chances to succeed are very low.
Yeah. Well, hey, you're here now. You are here, and you run a business, right? And with a lot
Yeah.
of people are literally flying in to see you.
It took like, I would say 10 years to grow to that point, and it's crazy cool. But I'm blessed because the main goal is to just with a passion to do the stuff I believe is gonna be benefiting my people. I cannot even call them customers or like patients. It's all my people because
Yeah,
we try to build lifelong bond and lifelong relationship.
that's
Because I
cool.
don't want to be just doing service for you. You don't come next time. I don't give an F.
Yeah,
We just like, and just yesterday, I find out that my long-term clients, very loyal one, she disappeared. And I was like, maybe she was tired of doing lashes, or maybe she just moved out and didn't even bother to tell me. And she posted on Facebook, and out of my 5,000 friends, you see, like, you don't see all people's
yeah,
posts.
correct.
She stated that she was free from cancer, breast cancer, and she was
Oh, wow.
done and graduated from chemo, and she was telling her story, and I was almost crying, and I texted her right away, and I left her voice message, and I like, listen, if I can do something complimentary for you, just come over. I don't want any charge. It's just I know how terrible you feel after all that procedures to be done to your body, and it's destroying the body. And I didn't even know that this happened to you. And she's like, yeah, that was the reason why I disappeared. And she never complained. She never like reached out and be like, hey, just to let you know, because I always try to help people who are like cancer fighting, like kids stories, like some like terrible diseases. And I have like tools, I have audience, so I don't mind to share. I don't mind to ask for GoFundMe if I know the person and I'm 100% sure it's not a scam or it's like a truly heart touching story. But I was like yesterday, like I need to more follow up with the people who are disappearing because maybe they're going through their own
Mm,
hell and they need some help. And that was my how to say that all moment of the
yeah,
yesterday, and
yeah.
I care about my girls because I know them, I know their stories, they know my stories, and it's like you just build this female community when it's like a big
That's cool. That's cool. So let's get back to your story. I would like to at least what I enjoy is like learning about you and learning about how you've come to where
I
it
have
is
a
today.
question. Like, did you just accidentally see my profile? So how did it start on your side? Because I'm always curious, like, why people choose me, like, to get a interview. You are actually my interview, maybe number 9. So I've done a lot of
Well, I'm
interviews.
interview number 9. Oh.
You see, I'm your first. You're my number 1.
Well, you're my first Russian podcast
Oh,
guest.
it's
So
gonna be viral.
it's from Russia to Orlando.
You can ask any questions. Okay, while I'm here, I'm like a real testimony.
Okay. But no, I think, I like to network and connect with other business owners because like I do business to business, right? So like
Mhm.
I would do services
I
for
start feeling
businesses.
proud because I was like, oh, I have like this microscopic, very small female-owned, minority-owned business, and now I am a business.
That's the truth. I mean, that's how it starts. It starts small and then you start to grow and grow and grow. Same with the podcast. It's like, I just start with people I know, and then I go through all the people I know. Now it's like, okay, well, let me try to find more people. And the only way I can do that is, by asking and just by
Mhm.
talking and just like asking, hey, would you like to connect? Would you like to connect? If not, no worries. And that's just the way I found to do business, especially on social media. It's like you want to connect or you don't. Anywhere in the middle is like, I don't know. It's a yes or a no,
I agree. I agree.
so until somebody says yes or no, it's still opportunity, I think. But yeah, no, I found you and that's sort of where we are here today. You literally,
And it took how long? We have to check the messages. It's like it was a long time before I started responding. And I tell this like usually I'm professional, and I'm like I do, but I had so many people hitting me with the crazy messages. So I'm like, scroll next. Like,
no, there's a lot of, I mean, hey, like, I don't know how it is to be a woman and be on Facebook or
I'll
on,
tell
on
you
social media.
one
Yeah,
story,
tell
right?
me.
So one time when all that scam were not so popular, there's like, a handsome middle-aged man is hitting on my messenger and be like, hey, and we start talking, and he tells me his lovely story that he's a widower with a 9-year-old, but right now he's Qatar working as a neurosurgeon. I was like, poor guy, he lost his wife to cancer, and he's so lonely. So it was like I kind of get emotional. After that, I have a friend request from exactly the same looking guy, different picture though, different name, and he's like, I live in Egypt. I lost my wife, and I have 11-year-old, and I'm a widow. I was like, it seems like they are biological identical twins. When the third one contacted me, and I was like, okay, I see. When you're not exposed to scam and you're not a scam person and you don't have an evil brain, you take everything as a truth, right? It takes you time to figure out. Thanks God, I never paid them money, or like I never tried to get deeper into all that virtual, relationship. But one day I post a post on my Facebook, I deleted it later, where I'm be like, oh my God, I never knew what's my mission, what I was born for. But today God revealed a big thing. I'm connecting lost identical twins all around the world. Thanks to me, I just found 3 brothers and I tagged them on that post.
Oh my God.
And they were like never aware that they are like separated when they were newborns, but thanks to me and my beauty, they finally were able to reconnect and get their family together. And my friends were like, they were giggling. They were like, Eva, what are you doing? But it was fun.
That's that Russian humor. I love it. I love that so much.
Yeah, it
That's
was
so cool.
brutal, maybe a little bit, but
No, it's nice. Like, but hey, like that's part of it. It's like, there's so many people. Like there's so many people, especially even on Facebook, on social media. Like scams are all over. So I completely get why, maybe I seem like a scam, but I'm not. I'm a real
it's
person.
just unfortunately Facebook is not shaped to the point that it's very easy to find out who you're. Like for example, we have Russian fake Facebook, which is actually a Russian social media
Hmm.
network group. They have like, for example, if you need to recover your password or you lost your profile, you have to do a picture to their platform with the ID next to your face, and it will be like, this is
Oh
you.
wow.
Yeah, and if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
support that, they will not give you access to your page. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's very detailed how you can get back your stuff. It's like it's a meta asset. So I think
Yeah.
like it's not good for like, oh, this is my passport, look at me, and it's like here. But they could create some cool stuff, how it would be way harder to scam people and create
Yeah.
fake profiles, because right now it's disaster.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I post every day. I post actually I didn't post today. I don't think I posted today, but I will later today. I will post. But I post every day. I post something every day. And so I just look at it like I use social media to be heard. And I use social media so that I can share any message that either God gives me, or it's a message of encouragement, it's a message to help others, because I know what it's like to be down. I know what it's like to be,
And your
that.
intentions are good. Like, I mean, like some people, they're too political and all they do is like all that negativity, which
Oh
I
yeah,
already
they don't.
have everywhere else, like, and some people, they are using that for not good cause. Like, so when you go to social media with the good intentions, I believe it's double profits for you as a karma wise. I believe in karma too.
Seriously.
So
Yeah, I mean, in the Bible, it's similar to karma. It's like what you reap is what you sow. Then you sow. So if you sow good seed or you plant good seed, you'll reap a good harvest. But if you plant bad seed, you reap a, bad harvest.
I agree.
So you built your business from the lack of confidence in the past that you're helping people now get even more
So it's
confidence.
another interesting story. I
Yeah,
have thousand stories just to
talk
let
to
you
me.
know. Maybe one podcast will be not enough, but we will see how the audience react. Maybe you will have to do monthly meetings and be like, Eva, story number 275, please. So my background, Russia, I was a teacher at university and I was teaching philosophy, chronology, ancient
Wow.
civilizations. I was working on my dissertation work and I won green card lottery. Back in the childhood, when I was 5, all I was doing is cutting hair. Someday, my brother was an innocent 5-year-old baby hanging around and we were going to the wedding at night. And I was looking at him like so ugly. So I decided to give him a cut. But I didn't have a good scissors. I found a plastic, safe paper
Oh,
scissors. And I
yeah.
sit him down and I mean like, you need to be silent because the grandma is in the next room and the parents are at work. So my poor brother, it's up to date. I still remember that. Like I remember it like yesterday. So I did like a beautiful bald spots in the back on the right. I left some creative pieces of his like bangs in the front. I cut his ear, I believe, twice. So it was bleeding, but he was
Oh,
so terrified. I was such a bossy sister that he was silent. He didn't cry. He was like I saw his ear like bleeding, but he was like trying to survive that
oh my.
execution. So I was very proud of myself. I feel it's a masterpiece. I was like, well done. Now we can show him to public. I was always calling him the shame of the family for some reason. I don't know why. It's like
Wow.
maybe I was 5, he was 3. So that was so by the time mom get home, I saw that she just started crying silently. She didn't say a word. She didn't like yell at me. She didn't punish me. She didn't spank me. But she went to the kitchen and we in Russian have this sedative. It's called valerianka. So she started taking that drops into her liquid to drink it just to be calmed down. And it's like it's time to leave for wedding for the friends. My dad came home and I was a daddy's daughter, back before divorce. So he looked at my brother, like I remember his rounded eyes. Silently, he took him to the barber shop and they just shaved him. That was the only possible style. And I remember how we next picture, I remember we're outside and he's walking and it's like fall, but we're still without hats and he's fully shaved. Like now I would say it was ugly. And I'm so proud. I'm like, finally he looks good. And that's how now I realize that my passion was to do beauty, do transformations, cut the hair. My middle one, she does exactly the same. So, and she does it on all the furry animals like toys. She does it on herself, chopping the bangs. So it's genetical. And my mom wanted me to be a teacher, philosophy teacher, like English teacher. It was my major was English. My advanced studies were philosophy. So it was a prestigious career with this amount of salary. I don't know how in America it is and if the teachers are paid well. In Russia, it's not. And when we were able to move to America, we won green card lottery. And I was like, I have my chance to pursue the career which I will be truly enjoying. I don't have any friends there, so nobody cares. I can do like, I don't know, grass cutting. And if I like it, nobody will gonna... In Russia, it's all about prestige. It's about like how fancy it is, long-term profits, how good it's gonna be for the overall like your like personal branding. And I hated that job. I was very distressed. I didn't like the environment. My colleagues were amazing, but it's like some things which should be fixed as a system. Long story short, I was like, let me be a hairstylist. So I went to school before moving to America, and after that, doing hair, gradually became doing lashes, gradually started doing like skincare, after that permanent makeup. And it's like, it's never ending, it just adds. And at some point, I was having postpartum depression, and I was like, I'm not doing hair anymore. And I was like quitting for a few years. Now I realized that I still enjoy. I just don't want to do it all the time because it's a pretty tough career, and your legs get swollen. You stay like on your feet all day long. Or like the blow dryer. My blow dryer is like 5 pounds. So every time I blow dry the
Oh,
hair, it's like I make my muscles work out. Like and it hurts. It hurts the neck. It hurts the arm. We have professional joints issues with the age, and I mean, like, it was combined with the passion to, to give people confidence. I was also like, every time people ask for coaching, I ask them, like, you remember yourself when you were 5, what you were doing and enjoying the most? So tell me, what is the first thing in your brain? Like, what you were doing as a child when you were 5?
when I was 5,
First thing,
I
don't
think
think.
of video games.
See, here we are. No, I mean, like, it's very interesting. Like, I have a friend that she's like, yeah, I was doing clothes, and now she's a world famous fashion designer who creates like custom made dresses for queens of Algeria, like, or like for the
Oh my
White House
goodness.
ladies. Yeah, and she's
Wow.
local here, Lake Mary, my
Wow.
Inna, and
Yeah, it's right down the street. That's where I live.
yeah, so
Yeah.
she'll be your next podcast guest, I guess. She's
Maybe.
very entertaining
Oh,
girl.
that's cool.
And I mean, like all our childish assignments, which we enjoy and we were playing and having that joyful moments, is possibly what you were created by God to do when you will be adult. And it's crazy, the stories I heard from people, like, how they start to remember what they were enjoying the most.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so one, that's really, really cool story. That's a
Okay,
really
your
cool
turn, your
story.
turn.
I like that. But yeah, that makes sense. Like I've always been interested in video games and like I've always enjoyed computers and video games and stuff like that. And no one, well, even when I was growing up, like I was playing video games all the time. It's not a good thing. It was not the best thing, but I also enjoyed lifting weights and going to the
Mhm.
gym every once in a while as I got older. But video games, I did it so much. My grandfather told me, it's like, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I grew up. One, I thought I was going to go to the military. Let's
Uh-huh.
start with that. So my whole life, I was like, okay, being raised to go into the military.
Were you craving the discipline, or what was attracting you in the military?
That was just the only thing I knew.
Okay,
That was it.
so it's not true intention, you see?
Correct. It wasn't my intention. Correct. But it was put upon me through the being in that world. Remember, I told you my stepfather, he was in the military.
Mm.
That's what it was. So he was in the military, and then yes, it was like that was my whole plan. But when I got into like high school, I started to realize it's like, I just kept playing video games and on the computer. And I was like always like, back in the day, it was like a LimeWire.
Mm-hmm.
Remember
Yeah.
where you get the bootleg and Pirate Bay and just bootleg or just like all these things from all these countries. You were able to get like free movies and free music and all that
Uh-huh.
stuff. Yeah. So I was always interested in like all that stuff, VNs and all the crazy techie stuff.
I just moved to America, and we learned how to watch movies with Russian language through their laptop online and on the TV projecting. As FBI is watching you, you're gonna send this money before you go to jail. Like like the first
Yeah.
scam in America. And me and my ex-husband is like laying in the bed watching that, and they're like, "You have like 30 seconds to send the money, so we will stop the prosecuting of you illegally trying to use and watch the movies." I was like, "Shoot!" So that was a very crazy story.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. But yeah, that's that's for a lot of those movies that you get for free would have stuff like that. But I was always interested in that kind of stuff. And so like my grandfather was like, you should go into computers. I was like, that's not a bad idea. And so, I went to college and I actually went to here in UCF or University of
Mhm.
Central Florida or in Orlando.
It's a very legit university, I will tell you.
Yeah, it's intense. It's good. I graduated from there. So, but I started there going into computer science because I was like, oh, my grandfather says I do computers. I like computers. Orlando seems like a really techie city. Let me do computers. But then I got into it and I didn't really enjoy it. Like I did it, I learned it. It was a lot of fun ish. I just like the challenge. So the reason why I like video games is I like the
Challenge.
challenge. And so I wasn't really a fan of rules, which,
In military would be big.
in the university when they tell you to program program on the computer certain things like this got to do this, it's got to do this, it can't do this. I was like, I'll just build it my own way and I'll find my own link. It didn't really go well too much with that kind of
Mhm.
space because in coding all there is just yes and no's. It's like rules entirely. So I was always interested in like I got interested in business and like entrepreneurship. And so entrepreneurship is no rules.
I agree. That's so true. I was like, finally, somebody said that. And it's like, until you figure out what's your rules, it's like, it seems like everybody has the same, like, it's like kind of a system you have to learn endlessly. And
Hmm.
it's interesting. I have to write it down.
Well, that's exactly right, right? So I went from this like super tech, like very rule heavy kind of thing to entrepreneurship, which is like business. And in business, there's pretty much no rules either, right? So,
I would debate that, but based on what is my experience from Russian business and
oh,
American
probably,
business,
yeah, that's true.
there is a two structures we can
That's
talk
true.
about
That's
one
true.
day, how is the business run and operated and how people do business in big
I'm
businesses.
sure it's
Like
different.
one thing I will add, it's like, American businesses are very self-protecting and like the government even bans anything non-American. And it's a good thing. I mean, like
Hmm.
for the helping the local businesses, national
Right,
businesses, they don't let the outsiders to get to the market. But it's a
mm,
bad thing because maybe somebody is more techy and they can
yeah,
bring better technologies, better treatments, better medical drugs for
right,
serious illnesses. But because America doesn't let it go through,
correct. Mhm.
in the big picture, it's not letting Americans to benefit that for a
That's
cheaper
that's
price.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get better things cheap. Like I went to the Philippines this last year in June.
Did you buy a land there?
Well, I have land there. My family has land there.
Okay.
I don't know. They're trying to sell it. I'm like, hey, you don't
No.
have to. You
If
should.
I were you, I would keep it.
That's what I'm thinking. But hey, like my grandfather recently passed away, and my whole family, like now that was there, they're all passed away, unfortunately. But we still own the land.
In Russia, if I'm mom of three,
Yeah.
I'm entitled to receive a piece of land by government just because I delivered to the world three Russian citizens. So it's like they are exceptionally
Wow.
pushing and promoting birth, because it's a very low population there. So it's like you get compensation from the government, and they I would have a special benefits because I'm a hero mom, 3 plus, and
Mm,
it's like the money they gave you is a chunk amount of money that's called mother's funds, and you can use it towards education of the first child, even if it's given after the third child. You can use it towards your retirement, so it would be your like a Roth IRA, like savings, and or you can use it as a down payment for the better living facility if your
wow.
recent facility is not big enough for the household with the 3 kids.
Wow,
So
that's interesting. Do you have any side note, do you have any plans to ever go back to Russia?
I cannot say so, but it's like I love America.
Okay.
I was born, and I feel like my soul, when I came here, I'll be like, oh, I'm home. But I'm a grateful person. I'm grateful for education I got
Yeah,
there. I love my
the country,
culture.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm
I get it.
proud of my relatives and grandparents.
Mm,
But my mom is sick now. So it
mm,
seems like maybe
to
if I will
visit?
set up some type of, ability to work remotely, maybe I will have to go then live for a few years just to spend more time with my mom while
Sure.
she's here because my dad passed away when he was 46.
Ah,
And
it's
it
young.
seems like it's going to be a challenge for my kids. Just recently, I saw a nightmare when I'm like, oh, I'm back in Russia. So I'm like, oh, okay. My kids have to go to the same school I go because it's at least a lot of English lessons and they will be not looking like weird because they don't read in Russian and don't speak well.
Correct.
They speak and they go to Russian church Sunday school, but they are not at the level they should be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, they have public transportation. Oh, kids are way too independent there. It's like I was 9. I was traveling around the city on the public transportation, evening, morning. And it's like I knew everything by 9. And I could cook, I could clean the house. I started working at the age of 14 for the summer assignments. And I was like, my kids are so spoiled and they are so unadapted to the environment
Yeah.
here. But it's part of American life.
They don't have a Russian accent, right?
It's funny. So in Russian, they have huge American accent,
Yeah, I'm sure.
and when they speak they at school, they still are like English as second language, because in the
Wow.
Russian environment at home, they are speaking 90% Russian, broken, but they still hear like so they are like broken singing birds. Like they have some defective sounds, but they're way better than me. And the interesting thing, it's like I have an accent because my muscles in the mouth are sharpened to pronounce Russian sounds the way I was
Mm,
raised. But if the child is small and starts speaking English as a major language, they are having that English accent when they speak
mm,
Russian because the muscles in the mouth are not sharpened to speak in Russian fluently without accent. If
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. Okay. So So how I ended up, I mean, it's really you who've given me this idea. So thank you. Because I never really think of it like that because it was your story of cutting the hair and now you're in beauty. Now you're helping people, be more beautiful. For me, it was like I like the challenge of video games. And so, I ended up into digital marketing, which is always changing. It's always challenging. And I do it for businesses because every business is different and every, way to do
I
marketing is
agree. I
different.
agree. It's a custom tailored solution, one
Yeah,
business at a time.
exactly. Exactly. So, I've made all this money for these other businesses. I feel like I could do the same for more businesses. And so God has given me my business after I was saved. In the Bible, so remember, I was saved January 2024. I started my business February 2024. It was, I've always been an entrepreneur kind of thing, but never really succeeded. I was like, start a business, fail, start a business, fail, start a business, quit. There was all of this kind of a lot of businesses, but
How many?
I mean, my very, very, very first business probably was like are you familiar with the game beer pong? Where you throw the ping pong table? Okay. So college game, I guess high school game. But back in the day, I remember I wasn't with God, but I started a business that was selling beer pong tables when I was in high school. I just got my car for the very first time. I can finally go places. And what I did was go to all these parties. And I went to these parties and everyone wanted to play beer pong, but nobody had a table to play beer pong. And yeah, exactly. It's like the conundrum of the high schooler. And so I created a beer pong table. I was like, oh, let's do it. We're going to go to the store, create it. And then I put the legs on it, did it all, painted it, epoxy, everything, make it nice. I took it to these places, the other parties, and now everybody wants a beer pong table. I was like, okay, well, and then I did that. So I did that, but that's not anything too like positive.
No, it is. Listen, like you found the niche, you found the problem, the solution, and you like filled the niche. So like
Pretty
great.
much. Yeah, that was one of my very, very first ones. Then I was running estate sales for people. I was doing I was doing all kinds of things, drop shipping. I tried to start like a online e-commerce store, did all kinds of things but nothing really succeeded until Jesus came into my life and he gave me let me put it this way. This is my second marketing agency. My first marketing agency back in 15, I did it in Orlando, downtown. I was working downtown and I did that for about 2 years as well. It was like, okay, I was okay. I wasn't making a lot of money. Didn't really know what the heck I was doing, just straight out of college. And then I was doing my business and then I had my son. I was having my son. I was like, oh my gosh, quit the business, get a job. And that's what I did. I quit the business and got a
Listen
job.
to somebody, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought was better. Right. But then I realized there's all these rules again. And I was like, oh, I hate it. And then moved on and on and on. But then, they kept giving me more money and more money and more. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So, you know, back to 2024, I was saved. He gave me my business, Next Level Marketing, which is the same thing I did back then, but now I do it with God.
And
And He literally allows me to prosper through it. And so every single one of my clients, every single one, God brings them to me somehow, some way, whether it's like, me planting the seed, like, meeting you and on social media or whatever, or they find me somehow and we basically, that's how my business grows now. And so, yeah, I just do content and I just help people find me.
so maybe I will join the forces. I'm about to take a project with the rock band in DeBerry. Very cool guys.
In DeBerry?
Yeah.
Over here. Okay.
Yeah, it's like very good musicians, quality music.
Wow.
We are trying to upscale them to the totally different level because it's like a masterpiece, but it's like it should be a little bit reshaped and like like a diamond before it's
Sure.
trimmed. It's just like a precious stone, but without vision. But once you get that diamond into
Yeah, yeah,
diamond
yeah.
shape, that's when everybody like, oh wow, I want it because it's so expensive and it's the best.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, I mean, I'm more than happy to. I'm at base and information is I give it freely.
Mm.
That's just me, who I am. So like, I'm more
Yeah,
than
that's what
happy to
we
help.
decided because I just give them all my like I did a small FBI level background check on just like on you. You know, I'm Russian and I have like some small cockroaches in my brain, but I have to do my homework. So I'm like, oh, okay, I see that it can be done this, and I can see it can be improved that,
Mhm.
and you know, infusing the AI and everything. And I just talked to them openly. I didn't ask for consultation price, though usually I charge for that, and they were like probably impressed because right now we're trying to build the like you know something like a perspective wise very good. And I truly believe that it's something challenging
Mm.
because I never worked with that type
Yeah.
of businesses. It's very unique.
Uh-huh.
It will be bringing me some new skills to learn on the way, or just to meet new people, or just get into the environment I was never immersed before. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Oh, that's exciting. Hey, absolutely. But yeah, that's how I ended up in marketing, right? I
Mhm.
ended up again back into where I am because I was in tech. Now I was in marketing. I was in all over the place, all over the place. Now I do podcasting. Like who knew?
It's part of the marketing.
Hey, it's part of the marketing. And so like I do a lot of stuff. But back to you. I remember hearing you tell me the story and I wanna be able to capture it and help
Yeah,
the audience understand. It's like
what story?
there's a lot of stories, but there's this. Okay, so let me try to back up, right? So you fell into beauty because you loved it and you had a passion for it. You went to beauty school and then you came to the US, right? How was that like?
In Russia, they told me like, oh, nobody wants your Russian techniques. Yeah, like it's totally different world there. They're not gonna hire you. It's totally different way they do the color. Like you will never be successful. So on the plane, I knew I have 3 appointments booked at home cuts, like you know, to do people's hair at home. And once I stepped down on the American ground, I was never not doing anything. I was always constantly growing my clientele. I went to college because I need my cosmetology license. They don't appreciate like the education of offshore. So I had
Yeah.
to go and get cosmetology license here. On my last day of school, the teacher from another group came and they're like, hey, American Cup for hairstylists is happening in Orlando Beauty Expo tomorrow. It's like, who wants to participate? And I'm like, I don't know what is that, but yes. And they brought me the mannequin head because I didn't have anything. I had less than 24 hours to get ready for that competition, and I was presenting the bridal creative hair updo. So I came to that American Cup national level, and I was not even understanding what I'm immersed into, how serious was the level. And I see the judges, I see the cool people. I realized like my chances to win are not very big. And one lady come behind my shoulder and starts speaking Russian to me. She's my Ukrainian friend from California, Svetlana. And she's like, hey girl, I see you're Russian. I was like, how do you know? She's like, oh, the braid you did only Russians can do. And she's like, very talented, but I can predict it will be probably the third place for the future references. Learn how to do this, and you see that. And this is the judge, and her name is Amanda Cassidy, and she is the team trainer for the US World Cups. So you need to find her on Facebook, and you need to ask her if she ever will be looking for extras for the team to consider you as a candidate. I was like, mm-hmm. And she was right. I got the third place on the national competition. I got my award. I meet the judge who was a World Cup trainer from America. And in the American team, it was 4 speaking Russian people who were representing America. I was like, interesting, you know?
Wow.
So when you want to see the Russian step in American politics, that's the case. Yeah, in a few months, for the Facebook, she offered me to start to join for preparations for the World Cup in Korea. And it was a Connecticut meeting, and we were coming there, and they were training us how, as a team, get the synchronically perfect hairstyle. And it's very hard, it's very intense, but it was a great school because after that, nothing is impossible. It's like, and I was always thinking like, okay, if I would be in Russia, my chances to become a team of Russia competing for the World Cups representing Russia would be 0.0.0.0, because unfortunately the competition there is huge. And here, without even doing a thing, I just like slided into that, and it was part of my life for a few years. So it was cool.
Wow. Okay.
Mm.
That's an interest. Wow. That was so quick. You came here and then you just won a competition. That, oh, you're third place. That's
Yeah, and I was like, I
super
was not
good.
expecting anything after that. It was another story. So it was a World Cup, but online. So you could submit the work, and it was creative fantasy styles. So I had a vision, and this is how God makes it happen, right?
That's me.
I work at the beauty store, and this girl, we were not friends, and she was always mean. but she's a makeup artist. And I tell her, Andrea, I'm thinking about doing a World Cup competition and I need some help with the makeup. She's like, yeah, that can be your model. I like, okay. So we created a crazy cool look. So she was a female snake, and we called it like snake fatal female, something like this. So she, with the silicone second skin, created looking like a snake skin, and she colored it on herself. So she had her full face, like it was like a level of a movie, like with the high-end production. And I did like this huge hair looking like a cobra style. And that was the good part. And she I have a friend, he's a photographer, he can do pictures for that competition. And that friend comes with this style of camera without light. And it's in my apartment. And I have like this, cheap apartment, $500 per month. They have like that nasty grayish, whitish wall, no light, not a good light. And he's like, where is your light? And he's like, oh, I'm professional. I'm going to do it without light. And remember, it's no days when FaceApp was existing, it was no like this handy photoshopping, editing apps on the phone. And I'm just so heartbroken. So he does the pictures. I already see it's bad. It's bad quality. It's too dark. And it's it shows all the imperfection. And it's not the level of the World Cup. And the participation fee was 400 euros. So it's around $500. Back in the days, it was my monthly budget for groceries,
Wow.
And I came to work, and it's another girl who's working, and her husband is a starter photographer. And I'm crying, just crying, staying and crying, waiting for my hours to be done. She's like, why are you upset? I was like, listen, I just did this work. I just paid for the participation fee. And this guy, he came and he was not prepared, and he's not a professional. And terrible. And he sent me the pictures, the raw ones already. So I showed it to her, and we're not allowed it to be on the cameras with the phones. So I have to do it under the table. And she's like, let me forward that to my husband. He is a photographer. Maybe he can fix that. By the time we were done with the shift, he sent me back outstanding photo editing work. It was he added light, he photoshopped all the small hairs, he created like the 3D, it was a masterpiece. And I was like, God does exist. So I came home and I submitted that pictures, and I got the third place. And it was the World Cup. So I won the World Cup online, but it's the biggest hair community. There's nothing more prestigious than them. And next time I was like, okay, now I'm gonna. And I did another work with my best friend, Marina, and it was another crazy project. But the story is that there was a very famous photographer working with us. And I was competing with my actual coach, the one, Amanda, who was my judge. And we were very tight getting to that. It was four places granted with the prizes. And she texted me, I feel nervous to be competing with you. And I was like, oh, that's the best compliment you can get. If your trainer, the person who is this big in the world of the beauty, tells you that she doesn't feel comfortable to be final voting for the winners. And I was like, please, God, please. So finally I got the fourth place, but it was a winning place. She got the second or third. So we were nose to nose.
Wow.
And after that, I'm like, yeah, I'm cool.
It's exciting. You've gone through a lot of these competitions.
Because I'm competitive, if it's no challenges, it's no fun. So every time I take any project, any new procedure to learn, if it's no challenge, if I'm bored, I'm not going to touch it, because it's all about going through, create something new, beat up the standards, something like that.
That's very, very cool, because that's exactly, you and I are similar in that. That's entrepreneurial spirit.
You cannot cut this off. You can be pretending that you can do it in different way, but and I believe you're born like that. It's I don't know. It's you cannot take it out of your personality. Okay, tomorrow I start my office job from 9 to 5, and I will be white collar plankton in that office ecosystem, and I'm gonna enjoy my benefits from the big corporate, because I'm no more adventure. So I'm no more interested in the new shit going on online. I know whatever is happening. So that was the story.
That's amazing. So you gained all these multiple placings on these big competitions.
Awards.
And these are beauty cosmetic.
Yes. And after that, I got postpartum depression after second child. And I'm I'm not touching hair ever. And never tell never, because God will be hold on, my dear, I'll show you something.
Okay.
So I'm still doing here, but for my lovely people, like, whom I truly like for decades, they reject to be my switching from me to somebody else. I'm like, okay, I keep, and I enjoy that, but it's just
Yeah.
like to the point that compete, I'm not sure if I'm gonna ever do that. But I did a lot of fashion shows, like Paris Fashion Week, New York Fashion Weeks, Orlando Fashion Weeks. And at some
Wow.
point, you get so professional that it's no more entertaining for you. So you know what you're doing. You know
Mhm.
you can do any updo in 7, 9 minutes. You know you can wow the people with the signature style, and it will be like a TV camera chasing the model with your signature braid. But it's like, yeah, like something not so boring for today.
That's so cool. You're like a stylist in a way.
I hope I can be considered like that. I'm very simple, like
Sure,
deep
sure, sure.
inside, I'm like, oh, it's like, I would do a here, like, let's say hair color for my friend. And a few months later on social media, I will see her like, such a peach. She probably cheated on me and go somewhere else. And in a few months, she comes back to me and they're like, oh my God, I got so many compliments. I'm like, so you didn't go anywhere? She's like, no, it's all your work. I'm like, oh, it was me who did it. Tajin, and it's
Sure,
called
sure.
like, when you are just not believing in yourself. That's the other,
Mm,
like, you're very high in something, but you're very low in like things like self-esteem, appreciation your
yeah.
achievements, and we're always like very rough on ourselves, and that's
Nice.
part of the dark side of the moon, I guess.
Yeah. No, I love it. So now I want to know, you've come to the US, built this amazing reputation, then you've gotten to a point where you're tired of doing it, and now you're doing something else. But let's take a step back. I want to understand because we understand now about your business, right?
Mhm.
Which is a thriving and amazing business, and God will bless everything you're doing. Just go to Him. And so, were you always in the faith, or is this something that because
Um,
this is a walk, it's
Oh,
a
yeah,
long
yeah,
walk,
I
I'm sure.
understand.
So talk
No,
to me.
so it's like back in Russia, when I was born, the religion was prohibited by government. So it was a
Mm,
period when they just canceled out all the religious possibilities for people to go to church. It was like undercover. People have to hide. If you
oh,
want to be baptized, they would do it like in a hidden churches somewhere. No one will find out. So I was baptized. Usually they do it when you are newborn or under 1 year old. I was around 5 when my parents did that, and it was like a big problem because you need to find a godmother, a godfather. But
mm,
it's so many people getting baptized because in Soviet Union they like canceled out the god, and it's a huge story. You can Google that. It's very
wow.
interesting. So I was like believing in God, but in some childish, like like I was never taken to the church unless it's a big holiday like Easter, New Year, and when you in Russia go to church, you go to a night service. It's like crowded and it smells with that mirror and some of Frankis's oil, and you stay. There's no benches, and you stay whole night until it's sunrise. So it's very hard. People faint, people cannot stand, and I was not enjoying that. It's like it was too much.
Yeah.
And Russian churches, they require women to come only in skirts and with a head covered. You cannot come inside the church without scarf. It's like they will not let you in, and it's part of the cultural as well. And it's Orthodox, right? And in Russia, everything except Orthodox Muslim Catholic is considered secta. So if
Mm,
you are Baptist or any other confession, you will be illegal. And that's not right, but
right.
that's how they do it
Sure.
there. So here, when I moved to America, and when I was a high school and university years, I was rejecting God because
Mm,
I was very angry as a teenager with the things that happened to
yeah,
me,
sure. Right.
that
I
were
get
from
it.
a poor family, that my mom cannot no matter how hard she works, like provide for us like the level I wanted to live. And I was like fighting back my graduate year teacher of English, who was a side pastor on weekends, but he was very patient and he was always talking to me, soothing and explaining the things. So he was very nice and wise about being me rebellious as a teenager and being like, like aggressive mode and everything. And I started believing God here in America because there were situations when it was like no freaking other explanation how the things would be like held, and it's just like I start understanding why people are more faithful here, and I
Mm,
just joined the forces, because I was like witnessing so many things. And some of them were like, my ex-husband, he was offered a job at another state, and he was for 2 months not being able to get home, though he was promised to come home every weekend, get paid. And they didn't pay on time. It was a scam. And he was stuck in another state. I'm with the 15 months old boy. And we're in the apartment, which is $500, $550, I don't remember. That's the prices in Orlando back in 2013.
Wow.
And we have no, I was working daytime at the pool doing the braids for the girls, but it was raining the season of hurricanes and you don't make money at all. So I got to the point that I had only opened like formula for him, but for like toddler formula. I didn't have milk. I didn't have or like, microwave to heat the milk or like a kettle. And I'm sitting on the floor with my son. It's an empty apartment. I'm behind with my rent. And the friends who are very close to me now, she opens the door and she brings me the check and be like, hey, your husband called my husband and they asked to help you. This is the rent check. And I was like, thank you. And we sit on the floor. We have no chairs, no tables because we just moved to America. We have nothing.
Yeah.
And the door opens and it's another friend of our friends who is like, oh, they told me you are new immigrants here. Like, so I moved out with my girlfriend and I'm going to live with my parents. So I have all the furniture and all the things to bring to you. And with his friend, together they start just bringing bed, table, kettle, microwave, and I'm just like 1, 2, and my son, he doesn't even understand what's going on, and we were like both like turning the heads. After they left everything, he's like, stay well, bye. And I was like, unbelievable. After that, you start believing in God faithfully because you're like, when you see it and you realize there is zero chance of somebody to help, you have nobody to come and save you. It opens the door because our door was unlocked, and it's like through the people, of course, like and amazing. Like I will cherish that story for the rest of my life because I was like, he doesn't even know maybe how I was feeling that moment. That I was crying, I was so depressed. I knew that my husband is stuck and that he doesn't get paid. We don't have, and for the food, right? So my son is hungry. I don't have money to buy stuff, and I don't know resources. I don't know that I can go apply for a week, that I can go to church and get free food. I have no idea. And my other friend with whom I work at the braids, she's from my hometown. So she married a Brazilian guy. And she's like, Eva, I heard your story that you don't have money for milk. So we have this open gallon of milk. We don't have money because she was not paid as well. She made her husband to drive to my place and they brought us that milk, a little bit left open, like, everything else is full. And by the end of the night, I had like fully furnished house, gallon of milk, and it's like, and check to pay the rent. I was like, thank you, God.
Wow. And that's the story that I was just like, you told me that and I was.
And now my karma is every time I find on Facebook, it's a new family with the kids, I just pack whatever is not used in the house, like blankets, toys for the kids. And my son, I didn't know that the biggest struggle would be like, we didn't think and we didn't get any toys from Russia. So when we moved here, I saw the prices in Walmart. It was $10 average for the toy. And I'll be like, like, I'm not buying that. We have 2,000 total.
Yeah.
That was our budget.
Yeah.
And he was very sad because he was a 15-month-old toddler. He wanted toys, but he didn't have toys. And somebody told about us, and my best friend, Anna, she like, oh, there is a boy, the same name as her son, but he's 1 year older. So they knocked the door of our friends when we were still living with them before we moved to the apartment. And she has this bag with the toys. And my son, when he saw a boy and he saw a full bag of toys, his face, I started crying because he was so happy. And up to date, they're best friends. Up to date. Max and Max.
Max and Max. That's so cool. That's amazing. God is good. That's amazing.
And it's like, I cherish the people like that. It's no more friends. It's like, they're like relatives. We've gone through a lot of situations. They're my people. And I would never think that friendship could be built for so many challenges. But I can say that friendship in America is different than friendship is back home. It's like family people.
That's
without
amazing.
Relative DNA bond.
Yeah, that's the truth. No, that's so cool. Okay. So, so basically God provided. You were at the very
it's like
bottom.
You have to trust.
And did you pray about this beforehand? Did you pray?
I guess in my personal way, because it's like,
sure.
sometimes you just like, I don't even realize that you're begging for help, like, and like asking God to help. So it's not a formula or follow that text.
Yeah, I'm not religious. Yeah, I believe it. But that's amazing. So he provided you he provided you the rent check, and you had no rent, you had no money. Your husband wasn't, or your ex-husband was not going to get paid, and he was away. And he also provided you a gallon of milk, or like some milk for the kid.
No, and then I tell you, the milk was like a cherry on the cake, because I was like, okay, good, at least we have now the microwave, so I can warm up. You can do that formula basically with the water, but the milk it's more nutritious and better taste. But I tell it's like it's open door. My friend Olga with her husband, they come in and they're like, hey, we don't have money to give you, but we have milk. That's
Nice.
how you see like people when they're involved and willing to help, and they will give you the last thing just because
Sure.
that's all they can do, but it's a huge help. In
That's a
this
huge
exact
help. Yeah, in
case,
that scenario.
it's like 3 days of milk supply.
That's
Now I have
beautiful.
1 gallon of milk daily run with the kids. I swear to God, I need a cow.
That's so
Yeah.
amazing. That's so amazing. Okay, so let's try to wrap up a little bit, because I know you have to go
Mhm.
pretty soon. If there's somebody, my last question is this: for somebody who is in your situation or who has been in your situation, let's say they're in Russia or in a different country, come to America, they want to start a business, they want to do this, but they want to do it with God. How would you recommend somebody do that?
It's very easy. Like it's no blueprint, but it's easy. So it's like every time you try to do any business, any activity, it should be mission driven and
Mm,
purpose. So if your business purpose is to make money, you can succeed, but in few years you will be hit it hard. Like it's nothing soothing or fulfilling you. And at some age, especially people after 30, I guess, it's like you don't want to do stuff which is not fulfilling you in the end of the day. And America taught me to volunteer and to support like nonprofit organizations or support any initiatives like like feeding the homeless or like church activities like free classes for the kids, or it's like if I can do a master class at home like homeless ladies at shelter, like to teach them how to like, oh, I will do a free day of haircuts at the shelter just
mm,
because these women cannot afford it, and it's like that would be my give back. And if my business can do as a part of my activity, that it's a good business. If your business doesn't have that capacity or it's not created for being having that part, it's like that's not a good business like in a human understanding. Maybe it's a profitable, successful like it's business, but what it does to give back to the community. And one of my business coaches, JT Fox, he sells his like white label like tights, and it's
oh,
100
ties. Okay.
tires. So it's 100 per tire. And every time he sells it, he sends this money to St. Jude's Hospital, which is for the cancer kids. And I think it's amazing. Like, when every single seminar he has, he takes this stuff out and he's like, whoever is buying, like, and he sells them hundreds. And people know that this money gonna be used for purpose of helping kids to fight cancer. Runaway for Hope, it's like we have a Mark Nijam lawyer,
Hmm.
and he's in downtown based. Every year, they do this event for the kids with the cancer, and they involve so many public people, officers, police officers, and they just do that huge event to cherish these kids, to help their families pay the bills, like help with their like traveling to the hospitals. So that's a cool business owner because he has this huge thing helping maybe hundreds, maybe thousands people. But even if one person will benefit from your good act of like
Hmm.
kindness, that means like you didn't live your life for nothing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I agree with that 100%. I mean, that's basically start your business, run your business for purpose and for mission versus just for profit, right?
Mm.
If you do it for just the money, you sort of will fail
Yeah,
eventually or not be fulfilled. But if you do it to serve and help the community and help others,
I agree. I have a big idea now for the teens because my son, he's a little bit like, tender teenager maybe or whatsoever. But I see that the teenagers, they don't have a space where, for example, they don't feel emotionally good. It's like, let's say, a weekend school or like, 1 week camp where it would be teaching them how to handle stress, or if they want to learn some career because let's say they're from a bad background family, learn some IT skills to be able by age of 16 do websites, do
mm,
marketing.
yeah, sure.
And it's like if I will find a facility and people who will be investing into that building and
Mm,
teachers to be paid salary, that these teenagers would be getting the skills they will not get at regular school, like budgeting, financing, how to do
mm,
taxes, how to meditate, how to breathe well when you have stress, how to do like martial arts, like,
yeah,
how to cook healthy food, how to handle like, bullying. It's like all
yeah,
these coping techniques that are never taught at school. Maybe they teach it now, I don't know. And it's just the teenagers are not lost, but they have a vision and they can succeed early without, like, I don't believe in college anymore, actually. Do you think now if you
Not too much. I
I
mean, hey,
agree.
like you learn a lot living life,
Yes, and I mean, like now, the some of careers you can get like cybersecurity 6 months online self-study if
right?
you are
Yeah,
committed like to the thing to be studied. Doctors, yes. Lawyers, yes. You need to go to
sure.
college, like some
Right.
like very high, like let's say surgical things, like
Sure.
neurology. But if it's something like, let's say, art, you can study online.
Right.
If it's poetry, if it's like something which doesn't require physical practice, it all can be learned online now. So
I
that's
love
a
that.
relatively and teenagers are focus group right now because I have two more coming.
Wait, you have a lot. You have a lot on your plate, and honestly, we haven't even gotten through everything.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if you're open to another
Of
idea,
course.
another podcast. You're
We will
doing,
do episodes, right?
yeah.
So
Hey,
my blue dream was one day to do a book. It will be called Lash Stories, so to collect all the crazy stories I have from my
so cool.
girlfriends, my clients, from me, and it will be on Netflix 100%.
That's so amazing.
There
I
is a
believe
bad
it.
story about Russians called Inventing. I believe I never watched that, but I heard a lot because it's like
Oh,
about
the
that
movie. Yeah,
Russian fraud girl.
sure, sure.
But I tell it's like Lash Stories is gonna be viral because
That's
every
so cool.
single time it's a masterpiece.
No, the
So,
story. Hey, your stories have been really awesome. And so to wrap up, is there anything or any advice that you would give, or anything else that you want to share for today?
and I'm just very excited and grateful that you invited me and let me talk. So more people maybe learn some things through our conversation. It can benefit at least a little bit. Maybe we will ask them what would be the questions they want to ask for the next podcast. So we will be
Yeah,
more sharpened and like focus on some specific things to talk.
sure.
But other than that, it's like it's a blessing and it's the best Friday ending, like of the week, like Friday fun day. So this is fun.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, it's been a pleasure having you. How can somebody get in touch with you, or is there social media? Is there
Yeah, I
website?
provide the handles,
Okay.
like a QR codes, like, everything. Once I start my podcast, I please ask you to be, you will be my honorable
Of
guest
course, of
to
course, of
come
course,
and I will interview you
of
because as
course.
a Russian, I will ask you American some questions which I'm
Sure,
curious to
sure.
learn.
Absolutely,
You were born
absolutely.
in America,
I
right?
was born in America. Yeah,
Right.
I am American American. Yeah, I was born in Florida.
So
Yeah,
Floridian native.
Yeah, not a lot of
I
people
feel
are
like I'm
Floridian.
Florida native too. Like every
Yeah,
time people tell me, "Do you consider moving out of the state?" I'm like, "I'm not that stupid." Like when I was choosing the space on the American map when I was green card lottery winner, I'd be like, "Oh, California, Hollywood, New York." I'm like, paradise on the earth." And my friend was living here. My friend Laura was helping
that's
us
so
so
good.
much.
Great.
I
Florida's great,
agree.
and you're doing amazing works. Keep up what you're doing.
I hope just like global warming is not going to raise the water level so we can keep enjoying our small, tiny peninsula.
I love it. I love it.
If not, it will be Georgia up north. I'm joking.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. So we'll put those links in the
Mhm.
description below for
I will
anybody who's
provide
watching.
everything. And I will send you the verbs for the World Cups. One, it's like, I don't know if you can put
Sure.
it in during the
Yeah, for sure.
conversations
Absolutely.
or what we were talking
Of
about.
course.
So I have to run.
Ava, it was a pleasure. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for being on the podcast. I
Yeah,
really appreciate it.